The Sportsocracy.
That is some good, clean family fun there, eh, Cot?
Welcome back into the Sportsocracy on ESPN Asheville and, of course, seen on YouTube. It is time to talk about more draft needs. Draft's coming up at the end of the month, and the Indianapolis Colts have the number 4 overall pick. I mean, it's a quarterback. We know that.
Yes, because they're not going into the season with Sam Ehlinger or Gardner Minshew.
The question is, what quarterback is that? They've been tied to Anthony Richardson. They've been tied to Will Levis basically since the start. I think that was the first that Flostradamus reported to us that they were all in on Will Levis.
Everything that I have ever heard from anyone I trust is that they are all in on Will Levis. Because he is the one that Shane Steichen views as Jalen Hurts, not Anthony Richardson. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think he's wrong.
Okay.
If that's what you're wanting to do, I'm not sure that you're not better off with Will Levis. Now, this is coming from a guy that has Anthony Richardson at 152 on his big board. So maybe I'm not completely I love Will Levis. I have the entire time. There are 3 quarterbacks in this class I love. I got Bryce Young at 1. I got C.J. Stroud at 2. I got Will Levis at 3. And Anthony Richardson is a distant 4. I think Anthony Richardson's closer to Hendon Hooker than he is to any of the other 3 I just said.
Okay. And that's a bad thing, right?
Considering we're talking about taking both of those 2 in the first round, yes, that's not a good thing. One comes out of a gimmicky offense, and the other never looked like an NFL quarterback. But he runs fast. Awesome. Yeah, because historically, that's worked great. Jake Locker's on line 1. Yeah, he was real fast, too, and built like a fullback. Unfortunately, he couldn't, complete a pass. Couldn't do that. It was just foreign to him. Same thing with Anthony Richardson. But I'm looking at this team, and Indy and Tennessee, to me, are in kind of the same boat. I feel like you're better than the public narrative has become.
Okay.
Last year went so badly that I feel like a lot of people forget there's a lot of talent on this team. And if you have an even competent quarterback and your line even stays halfway healthy, you're going to be better. Now, how much better? I don't really know. I think Jacksonville's passed you comfortably. I think Houston is comfortably behind you.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's you and Tennessee, and I don't really know which one is better.
I have seen way more prognosticators than I thought say that they think the Indianapolis Colts will be the worst team in the NFL this year.
And to me, that's stupid.
And I would say the same thing, but I'd also thought there was no way that they would be 4-12 last year.
Well, they were also killed and had no quarterback. The Matt Ryan thing was an absolute joke.
Yeah.
And then you fractured part of the front office firing Frank Reich because, frankly, it wasn't his fault. And I think he got a raw deal. And then you bring in an analyst to be your coach. Yeah, you were a disaster. But I feel like you hired a good coach. Yes, he's a first-time coach, so I don't know how he will be as the head guy. But, I mean, I've seen him cobble together an offense with a quarterback that I wasn't wild about. He really did a good job with Jalen Hurts and between him and Brian Johnson. And I don't see a reason he can't do that again with Will Levis.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people forget how mobile this kid is. They also seem to forget how much draft capital Indy has wrapped up in this offensive line. I've heard more than one person say they have the worst offensive line in the league.
Oh, my.
And to me, that is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. This team's good in the trenches on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the outside that it bothers me. And now I have always lived by the belief the closer to the ball, the more important it is. Quarterback, trenches, and then I can figure out everything that linebackers and corners. Most of what I would knock Indy for is further away from the ball. What that makes me think is that you're not actually as far away as last year would lead you to believe. Because there is a path that you implement an offense that looked much like what Philadelphia did last year. And you've got Jonathan Taylor playing running back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we seem to forget after just a year, he was the best running back in the NFL, and it was not close.
But you have to have a weapon. You have to have a number one guy.
Well, they have a number one guy. The problem is they don't have a number two guy.
I don't know. I'm still on the fence about that whole Michael Pittman as a number one.
Not 100% sure I understand why.
I don't know.
The best quarterback he's had in his NFL life was Matt Ryan. Or Carson Wentz for 1 3-game stretch.
Right.
Yeah, you give him an actual legitimate quarterback in this league and just sit back and watch.
Yeah, maybe, and maybe so. I always thought he would be a good supplemental piece, and that's what I think he is. Like, if Indianapolis could pull a deal for DeAndre Hopkins to bring in Will Levis, to give him that A number one, make Michael Pittman the 2, to me that makes this team stronger.
And see, to me, I'm not sure I want to go that route. I like Alec Pierce. He did not have a particularly good rookie year. We knew he was a little bit raw, but I mean, between the body and the size, all of that's fine. I believe Pittman's a 1. I don't think you have anybody that really takes the attention off of him.
No.
Which is what I think subjects people like you to say that about him, because he's not a burner. He's not crazy fast. He's just big and physical and really talented and a good route runner and phenomenal in the red zone. That's exactly what I want to develop a young quarterback. So I think you're set there. I would love a trustable piece. I know you signed Isaiah McKenzie. I don't really care because he's a 4 in the NFL. Josh Downs is the guy I can't get away from and go, how much differently would I look at that offense with him in the slot? You got Pierce on the other side. Now you got 2 matchup nightmares on the outside because both of your receivers are really big.
Mm-hmm.
And Pierce is fast enough that I think it makes up for some of the lack of physicality. And then I've just got Josh Downs, and I got Jelani Woods that's a matchup nightmare. And Mo Alley Cox, who's good for 3 really good games a year and completely irrelevant for the other 14.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't think you're that far off.
I don't either. A couple of good draft picks, and you could be right back in the thick of things. You get a quarterback, you get a wide receiver, and you get a corner.
And see, the problem is that with where they're sitting right now, I'm not so sure you can get all 3 of those things in the same draft. I don't love that you tapped out on Stephon Gilmore. I know he's an older guy. I'm well aware of it. He's also the best corner on this team, and it wasn't close.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I see Indianapolis. I think you're going to get the quarterback at 4. I think you're going to get that. I can't definitively tell you it's going to be Josh Downs. It could be Jalen Hyatt. There are a few guys that fit into that profile with a 36th pick. Then you don't pick again until 80, 81, whatever. The Dolphins pick counts. It doesn't count. I don't care anymore. And at 80, I don't see an impact corner in the first year coming there. And my fear is that that's going to put a lot of strain on the rookie, no matter who it is, because you're going to have to kind of shoot out. I love the front 7 for Indianapolis, but when you get to the outsides, it is ugh. And I think that's going to be a problem. So those are my 3 biggest needs for Indianapolis: quarterback, wide receiver, cornerback.
Yep.
Later on, I would like to get another developmental tackle, because last year you got absolutely killed injury-wise, and it really showed between Bernard Raymond. I think he will be better this year. I can't tell you he's a no-doubt left tackle. I think he is.
Mm-hmm.
I liked him coming out last year, but just didn't see enough of what I wanted to see last year to definitively say you're good there.
Just curious here before we take a break here at the top of the hour for Sports Center. Staying on the topic of the Indianapolis Colts and their corner situation, is there a corner that's still on the market in free agency that they could get that'd be willing to come in and, well, be that Patrick Peterson replacement? Stephon Gilmore replacement.
Not really. I mean, corner at this point is completely picked over. I mean, there might be somebody you could make a deal on, but I don't know who it would be.
Mm-hmm.
Indianapolis strikes me as the team that is going to really closely watch guys that get cut in the preseason and hope they find a gem, because their corners are awful.
Yep. Oh, you got Kenny Moore. End of message. Repeat the line.
And he wasn't good last year as the 2. And now you're telling me he's going to go out there as the no-doubt 1? That terrifies me.
He's not a 1. He's not a what?
He is on this team.
2 years ago, he was one of the best slot corners in the entire league.
Yeah, he's the best corner on this team by quite a bit.
Sure. That's why it's a great big position of need in the NFL draft. You are in the Sportsocracy, and this is ESPN Asheville.